Welcome to District 12. I am JunkYard Rat. This is a JunkYard Rat show. And today's guest, all the way from Seattle, is Duante Barnett. How you doing, Duante?
I love it. The other guy asked me, "What's your name?" It's Dante. He goes, "Yep, Duante. Got it, got
Is
it."
it
I'm doing
Dante or
great.
Duante?
I messed him up in the beginning because I said, "There's a U in there, man. It's Duante." I go, "We better make sure," but it's Dante.
It
Dante
is
Barnett.
Dante,
It's how I
but
learned.
it's
See, I learned English when I was 7 years old, and they taught me how to read by pronouncing every letter. So yeah. So how you doing? You're in Seattle right now. You're taking dabs. Are you ready for the show?
I'm always ready for the show. It's like I love it when people think that smoking weed in Seattle is a big deal. It's like your morning fucking coffee here.
Yeah,
We have
here
weed
too.
shops and coffee shops, man. You gotta be able to, you gotta be able to get high, man.
Yeah, I mean, this is the Bay Area. We practically invented waking up, getting high. There's dispensaries all over the place and stuff. Hey, I think the Washington quarterback got robbed Saturday. He should have won the Heisman. What's up with that?
Honestly, I don't think he's the best player. There's a difference. And I looked at the numbers, and the Jaden Daniels kid had more yards. He had more touchdowns. He's a better player.
LSU sucks, though. I mean, they're having a
This is
terrible season.
this isn't
Washington
a.
is undefeated. They're in the playoffs.
He won the Maxwell Award. He's gonna go to the college football playoff, right? But he's not the most electric player in college football.
But it's a
I'm
lot.
not a homer. You got to remember, I also work in sports broadcasting, so 97% of what I'm going to say to you is always going to be the real answer, not my opinion, if that makes any sense.
It's the last
So
year of the Pac-12. They should have done something.
I give you, I'm not mad. I mean, between Bo Nix and Michael Penix, a lot of people are mad the Pac-12 didn't win it. But
Yeah.
if you're looking at pure numbers, the Jaden Daniels kid was amazing. He's the first person to ever, what was it, run for 300 or no, run for 200 and throw for 350 yards in the same game.
That's true. You
You know what I
know,
mean? Like the best game at quarterback before that, we used to claim it as was Marcus Tuiasosopo.
yeah, he played
You
for the
haven't heard that?
Raiders, didn't he? Or
Yeah, there you go.
he played
Right,
for the
Marcus
Raiders.
Tuiasosopo in college. I think he ran for 200 and threw for 300. Right. But
Yeah.
the new record was set by Daniels, and for him to do something like that, that's kind of a big deal, man. That's you know what I'm saying? Like that's not something you can just be like, it's all right. Nah, he's a pretty good kid. And then on top of it, I think another thing that came into it is a lot of these coaches, these writers, everybody is pissed off about the whole transfer portal crap. So I don't think they wanted to give it to a guy who was a benefit of the transfer portal. Just to be honest with you, I really think they weren't happy with that. I'm really sure. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I was right. As a junior, Marcus Tuiasosopo became the first NCAA player in history to throw for 300 and run for 200. So,
Yeah, I think his uncle played for the 49ers.
who, Tuiasosopo?
Yeah, I think his uncle, was it his uncle was a 49er? What do you think about the head coach for Washington? Because I went to Fresno State, so he was with us first. You guys stole him from us, you know?
Boo. Don't be like that.
Oh,
Hey,
I'm
we
just
didn't
kidding.
steal him. We could pay him some real money. Who wants to stay at Fresno State their whole life? Come on, man. Don't do
Oh,
that.
Fresno's a nice place, so. But
I-
I'm
I'm
kind
not
of
saying
shocked
it's
though.
not.
I'm kind of shocked that he's actually doing something, because usually our coaches don't do anything when they leave. I'm kind of. What do you think? You think Washington is gonna win this thing or win it?
I'm not sure. I give them about a 40% chance. They're going to play Michigan in the championship. They should be able to beat Texas in their first round matchup. They beat them in the bowl last year. They should
Yeah.
be able to beat them again. They should head to the championship playing Michigan. But is
Yeah.
Michigan going to beat Alabama? That's the better question. Is Michigan going to be able to get up, rise up to the occasion, and show everybody that the CFP got it wrong and Alabama didn't deserve to be in the college football playoff?
No,
Because
but
the
I mean,
bigger story is if Alabama beats Michigan, did the college playoff, did they get it right?
well, Alabama is, the SEC is always going to be the best conference, so you can't keep the champion of the SEC out, you know. But I do think, the format about the Mountain West Conference that I like is that they don't have divisions. They just have the top two teams. And I think the Big Ten should do that. I think every conference should get rid of divisions. Maybe we could have like Michigan, Ohio State play twice a year, That would work better for everybody.
Well, no, and that's the thing is when they expand the college football playoff, it's actually better if conferences don't play each other twice.
Yeah.
So
That's going to happen next year?
What they're saying is that if you're a conference, right, why would you want to put your conference champion against somebody and possibly lose? Instead, have whoever went undefeated win, and know that one win team will probably get one of the 12 bids instead of you playing each other and the one win team losing again and showing it's not a top 12 team or upsetting your champion and throwing it off. So there's no way to solve this. Like I remember when the NCAA tournament expanded to 65 teams and there was the playing game.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's 68, so there's 4 playing games, right? There's got to be a fucking cutoff. Pardon my French. There's got to be a line. We can't. I'm a Mariners fan, right? And we expanded the playoffs to 7 games in 2022, and they made the playoffs. And guess what? They didn't fucking make it last year. So are we going to expand to 8 so the Mariners can get back in, right? Like, there has to be a line of division. And so now that we're going to the CFP of 12, right, we should be able to get in. Every major conference winner should get in. And then there's going to be 3 or 4 extra seats, right? And so those 3 or 4 extra seats now go, well, is Notre Dame going to get one of them, right?
Well, there's going to be 4 teams from the SEC that are going to get in every year. I mean, that's what's going to happen. Like, I can tell you who's going to get it. It's going to be Michigan, Ohio State. We got Alabama, Texas, maybe Auburn's going to get in. Georgia. I mean, Oregon's going to be in every year. I mean, there might be like four at-large bids. It's different, but it's different. But the thing is, I'm an Angels fan, so, you took our GM. I hope the Mariners don't do shit from now on. I can't even lie. I don't like the Mariners. But,
how could you not like the Mariners? We're not shit.
Oh, can you do me a favor, Dante? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut in, but can you either pull back from your mic, turn down your mic, or turn your mic off to the side a little bit because you're still coming in pretty hot.
Is that better?
Wow. Let's get you to talk again.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's way lower.
Closer to you.
No, that's cool. Cool. I'll turn you up. So that's fine. Go for it.
But I don't know how you can be mad at the Mariners. We suck. Not only that,
we suck even more. So
that has nothing to do with your general manager. That we got Jerry DiPoto. We don't want him. We'll give him back to you. We don't want Jerry. We don't want John Stanton. We don't want any of our management. You're mad at us because we're missing guys that we don't want. We don't want these guys. We haven't. Do you know what the Mariners did this year? They traded away their 3, their 4, and their 5 hitter. We have no idea who's going to resign him, who's going to replace him.
Well,
so you're mad at us for taking a GM that doesn't know how to do his fucking job? That's pointless.
That's the great thing about that GM. He's dumb, But the thing is, people are upset over Ohtani leaving. I'm like, the guy's gonna have his second Tommy John surgery. We're not paying that guy $700 million, but he should stay with the Angels. Nobody's gonna let him pitch and bat. We did because he was a big time draw, But like, yeah, I used to go to the games last year. There would be a lot of Japanese fans, and it was great to see all these new fans. But I knew those people aren't coming back. They're not going to be lifelong Angel fans. They're Otani fans.
That's why I was mad the Mariners didn't sign him. So we did a whole podcast. I'm starting to one here in Washington where we talk sports, and we're calling it Wake and Bake because we're pissed that we should have signed Otani.
But
From a business standpoint, we have a large Asian market. We're the first stop when Japanese people fly in the United States. From a business standpoint, you could have probably got 10,000 fans every game just from Japanese people wanting to come in
he
and see
didn't want
Otani.
to play for the Mariners. He chose us. We didn't draft Otani. He chose us. And yeah, your ownership is Japanese. Isn't Nintendo? Isn't Nintendo that owns the Mariners?
It used to be, yeah.
He didn't want to go to New York. He wanted the Dodgers. He wanted the LA market. I mean, I think it's personal with the Yankees. They treated their Japanese pitchers really badly. He didn't want to do it. I'm not sure if it's true, but the thing is, I'm not even sure how much you think the second bid was. I mean, how much money are we talking about? How much you think the next? Because Trotter's already owed like 450 million. But I think he just wanted to be a Dodger because the Dodgers are the Dodgers. And but it would have made sense if he went to the Mariners, but I think he kind of wanted to build his own thing. They already had a Japanese star.
I don't even know. It's not even about build his own thing. It's about we're not competitive. When your general manager comes out and says we're trying to win 54% of our games. I'm a stats guy. That's what I do for work. That's what I did last night. I did stats at the hockey game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my job isn't to try to sell people on stats. Stats don't sell, right? And you look at our team and our stats don't sell you anything. They sell us short on our batting lineup. They sell us short on having any control at the plate. They sell us short on having any speed on the base paths, right? They sell us short on a lot of things, right? And so when you look at the Mariners, like there were two highlights for the Mariners last year. Julio Rodriguez hit 30 home runs, right? And that was it. The other highlight you could have had, and I liked him, was the Jose Caballero guy, our rookie. He stole 25 bases, but then he ended up only hitting 220. Right? But his on-base percentage was 343. So why didn't he play more? You know what I mean? Like, they're not they're not looking at the numbers. You're benching a guy who's hitting 220, but he's getting on base at a 343 clip and he's stealing bases. Why would you bench that guy?
Well, to be honest, the division is stacked. I mean, the last two world champions, you got the Astros, the Rangers, At least you got the A's. The A's suck. They're always going to suck. But now they're going to Vegas and stuff. But, yeah, it's crazy that the Rangers just came out and won the whole thing. But that's because that manager was good. The Giants should never fire that guy.
I wouldn't even say it was just the manager. So I spent a whole... Like I said, stats are my thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the Rangers lineup, you got to understand, they had a lineup where everybody was hitting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I talked to my buddy about this. Do you know how many guys hit home runs for the Rangers last year, hit double-digit home runs?
Like 7 of them.
No, 10.
10?
Yeah, they had Corey Seager hit 33, Marcus Seaman hit 29, Duran hit 14. Mitch Garver hit 19. Josh Young hit 23. Tavares hit 14. Nathaniel Lowe hit 17. Heim hit 18. Adolis Garcia hit 39. And Robbie Grossman hit 10. right?
That's crazy.
It is and it isn't. The Mariners did something similar the year before, right? When we had almost 8 or 9. And then not only that, but everybody on their team, every one of those guys I named except for one, they all hit over 245. We only had one guy hitting 238. So what that means is you're in not only that, but all of them played over 100 games. So you had 10 different guys, and there's one guy in their lineup that played over 100 games that didn't even hit 10 home runs, right? So you've got 11 guys that are playing 100 games. You've got 11 guys that are all hitting over basically 250 or better. You got 10 out of those 11 that hit for home runs, right? And then the one guy who didn't hit hit 10 home runs, he still stole you 19, almost 20 bases, 19 out of 20 attempts, right? So what I'm saying to you is you've got a competitive lineup. You've got guys that want to hit the ball. You've got guys you can move up and down the lineup, all those different things. They ranked third in runs and second in batting average. Jesus, how did I know that? I figured that was going to be the difference, right? But they could score runs. The Mariners couldn't score last year. If Julio Rodriguez was at plate, or maybe J.P. Crawford, they might get a clutch hit. Outside of that, nobody can hit the ball. Mike France is a piece of shit. Jeremy Kelenic is a spoiled brat who got injured for the year, breaking in his foot after he struck out kicking a fucking Gatorade container, right? Suarez and Teoscar Hernandez both struck out over 200 times last year. If Kelenic and Julio and Suarez had all played the year, we would have had 5 out of the top 10 in the league in strikeouts. Like, there's a...
Well, I'm gonna leave the bets for last. What's going on with the Seahawks?
You son of a bitch.
What's going on with the Seahawks?
It's not getting any better, right? Next, you're gonna ask me about the Kraken, and they're playing just as bad.
Well, you know that we're in San Francisco, so we got to get on with the Seahawks here. What's going on with the Seahawks? Like, know, why you keep bringing back players that suck? You know, you cut your players and then you bring them back later on, and you can't figure out why they suck again.
We're I don't know. I was gonna write a story today about it. I feel like Seattle is in a spiral. The Kraken blew it this year. I don't think they're gonna be able to bring it back. The Seahawks traded away Russell Wilson last year. They got lucky, made the playoffs again, had some draft picks, and then kind of wasted them.
Yeah.
Zach Charbonnet is okay, but he wasn't worth a first-round pick. Jackson Smith, the quarterback, or whatever his name is, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's fucking... The receiver, sorry. He's horrible. Devin Witherspoon, he's all right, but fuck, I mean, I feel like you had 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick, and you got rid of Russell Wilson, and you had Geno Smith, and yeah, you signed him to a decent deal that was front-heavy, so at least you got a quarterback, but...
At least you got a wide receiver that likes to fight people, like Metcalf. You know, that guy should be MMA. What is he doing in the NFL? He likes to be... That was awful. And Pete Carroll's got to stop throwing gum at the crowd, you know. You can spit your gum out on the grass. You know?
I didn't even see it live yesterday, but I watched what happened with DK. Mm-hmm. That was a garbage penalty. He didn't do anything wrong. That was, if you want to... DK didn't do anything but try to tackle a guy he thought he had the football. He didn't know the guy had pitched it. He couldn't see the guy pitch the ball. Yeah, he got hit in the head. I'm going to get up and get in somebody's face. They hit me in the back of the head, too. That's just his reputation causing him more damage than what he did on the field.
So, you think they're going to draft a quarterback this year? I mean, there's a lot of QBs coming out. What do you think is going to happen with his team? Geno Smith is a backup.
Oh, God. Geno Smith is still better than half the quarterbacks in the NFL.
But he's still a backup, you know? He's still a backup.
He's better than what you got in Minnesota. He's better than what you got in Arizona. He's better than every quarterback in the NFC South.
Well, you
He's
You got a
better.
quarterback sitting in Washington that you think you're going to bring the local kid back? You think
He's not
Seattle's
local.
gonna?
He's a 2-year transfer. Penix is not.
He's in his fifth year, isn't he? I mean,
Yeah, but he's not a. That kid can't take a hit.
do you
Uh,
think the NCAA should let players play for more years? You know, they got
no,
people who've been there 6 years in the NCAA. Wouldn't it make sense to let them be there more years than four? You know?
no. If you can't, if you get, there's a kid that played, I think 7 years now. He's 25. He's going to graduate this year, and I think because of COVID injuries and all that,
Yeah.
he's been in college for 7 years, right? And what's the point of a college career, right? Is to get your degree, right?
Become a doctor, 7 years. You can become a doctor and stuff.
Right? Like, I went to school for 5 and got a master's. If you haven't got your bachelor's in 7 years, like, I get you're having surgeries, right? And you're missing class maybe. And
Yeah.
what is the point at this point? At this point, if you've been at college for 7 years, you just think you're supposed to go pro.
Well, look at Russell Wilson got lucky. He was going to suck again this year, but, Payne came in and, like, slapped him around and told him, hey, you got to play better. And it worked out. I don't think Pete Carroll's that kind of coach. He's not going to slap you around and stuff.
I wouldn't know if it was slapping around. The Russell Wilson's not doing great. He's not doing bad. Russell Wilson's playing like Russell Wilson. Last year, the Broncos sucked. I mean, the Broncos don't even have that good of receivers right now, right? But I think last year they thought Russell Wilson was going to carry the Broncos. This year they gave him a couple of players, actually gave him a chance to win, and now he looks like the old Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
And then not only that, but he's not. I don't know. It's different. He's only 7-6. They're only a game ahead of the Seahawks, right? It's not like they're winning anything crazy, but he's not throwing interceptions. He's not trying to win it all on his own. And I think he got a little bit ahead of himself. For Russell Wilson, he was just, let Russell cook and all this crap. Russell is not a traditional quarterback, to say the least, right? He's averaging under 200 yards a game as far as quarterback go. Barely 200, right on the dot. 200.7 yards, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's only given up 8 interceptions. He's only had 7 fumbles. He's barely given over a turn-up a game. That's the difference. Last year, I think he had like 20 interceptions by now and was turning the ball over. And you can't win games if you don't have the ball. And they're playing. I mean, the Chargers are shit. The the Raiders are shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like they're doing anything special, man. You guys are just a shit division. The Chargers are crap. The Vegas Raiders are crap. Kansas City isn't even playing that well themselves.
Well,
right?
the Raiders lost 3-0, which is a crazy. But the Raiders are selling out. The great thing about the Raiders is they never sold out in Oakland, but now they're selling out every game in Las Vegas. So they still suck, but at least they're making money, which is important. You know what I'm saying? That's the important thing. But, I went to a magic show on Saturday in Walnut Creek where I live, and we had front row tickets, and this magician, he was doing a handcuff trick. He had handcuffs, and then he put it in a bag and got the handcuffs off. But then he decided to show the crowd how tight the handcuffs on. He had a mark, and he came up to me, and he like let me hold his hand, and I guess I held it on too long, and he got upset with me. He got upset with me, and I was like, "What's up with that? You're the one that put your hand. You're the one that gave me your damn hand. I'm not sure if he was upset, but it was weird. It was like, yeah, it was weird. And then he put up his phone number, and he said, I do private shows. Text me if you wanna. I never texted him. I said I'm not texting this guy. You go to magic show, huh?
He was trying to give you a private show, all right. It sounds like he wanted to be your private dancer.
He might have been, you know. I guess he was on the Penn and Teller show and he fooled them, so he got an award. The thing about magic shows with me is I'm trying to figure out how the trick works, you know. I'm not amazed by magic and stuff. Do you go to magic shows at all or?
Nope, I don't. No, no, I don't do. I don't. Oh no, I'm just be honest. I think there's a big difference between magicians, clowns, and comedians.
I don't know. I think I'm closer to David Copperfield than either one of you two. I can fill up an auditorium and make the entire audience disappear within the first 5 minutes of my set.
Yeah, Friday I was at a show in North Beach, which is a neighborhood in San Francisco, at Kel's, and there were a bunch of like college students. They were drunk and they were heckling everybody. One of the women she said it was her birthday, and she just kept heckling everybody, and all the comedians were like bombing. So I got up there. I said, enough of this. So I told the woman to get on stage, you know. So she got on stage, and I was interviewing her, and she's like, I'm turning 23. I'm like, 23? That's your Jordan birthday, isn't it? And then I started yelling at the crowd, and I was getting laughter, right? And then her friend got on the stage and took the mic from me. Just took it. And I was like, what the hell, man? You know? What the hell's up with that? She just took the mic from me and stuff.
Another girl that was sitting with that girl, the birthday girl?
Yes, there was a group. There was like a group, and they were like heckling everybody, just talking shit.
You should have asked her to go out. You should have said, it's your birthday, right? You want to go out? You should take me out. We should go out for a great, meal or, just some sex. And we'll call it 23 and me.
Nah, the thing is, I'm old enough to be their father. I bet their father is like my age. I'm 51, so my thing was I got into dad mode, and I was like going to ask her. I'm like, no, you can't dress like that. You got to go back and change. That was my thing. But yeah, I started yelling crazy stuff. I told them, I went to a Cal State school. Fuck UC Berkeley. And I was getting laughs, man. I was getting laughs and stuff. But yeah, they were drunk. There's no tables in the audience, so they broke a bunch of glasses and stuff. But yeah, it was crazy. It was like, but I have a way of dealing with hostile audiences. That's one of my things. I took a lot of improv. What about you? Do you deal with a lot of hecklers or?
So there's two things. For one, I'm a black comedian, and I think most audience members, they know better. Not like that, but if you think about traditional comedy, you're not gonna, if you don't want to get shit talked to, you think about Def Comedy Jam. You think about, black comedy rooms are different, right?
Yeah.
And so, like at my show on Friday, nobody sat in front. So we did, I think I had 16 pre-sale. We had like 15 at the door. It only seats 45. It's a small, intimate stage, right? It's a good room, though. And the first 20 people all sat in the back. Then as the next 20 people came in, they sat in the regular chairs that were in front. But people really don't sit in front.
Yeah.
And I think I had one heckler. I had one show where we had a bad heckler. And it wasn't really a bad heckler, but I was doing a comedy show, and a lady up front found out. And so she said, I'll buy tickets for all my coworkers. And she had a whole bunch of like 21 to 25-year-old coworkers, and the lady's like our age, right? 45 to 50. And she just bought them all tickets for the show. So they'd been drinking. They come in hammered. And you know how young people are. You tell jokes, and they're thinking they can participate. They want to tell you what's funny or tell you a better tag. And I'm just like, whatever. So they're giving me shit. And I shut him up. I really don't give a fuck. I'll tell you, shut the fuck up. I'll tell you, this isn't show and tell. I got the mic. This is the talking stick. All these different things. And so I did fine and got him kind of listen and stop talking. And then the next comedian decided to do some crowd work. And they went back to shit.
Yeah, I think that was the problem. They started doing crowd work in the beginning, so they think like I don't know, there's an etiquette to comedy shows, but the thing is, this place turns into a dance club afterwards, so they might have been there to dance. And then the next day is SantaCon, so everybody dresses up in Santa Claus.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, if that was Saturday or if that was Friday.
That was Friday, but okay. There was people with like celebrating Christmas. They had Christmas hats upstairs. So, but yeah, usually we get an older crowd. In fact, I was talking to a comedian before the show, and I'm like, this is a good looking crowd, In fact, I think that's how I got the women on my side. I just basically told them what they wanted to hear. Yeah, you people are hot, okay? You're hot. You're like the hottest audience we've ever had. That's really what they wanted to hear, but...
Be 23 again, your body looks great, nice tits.
Yeah, yeah, but you gotta go back and change. Suddenly I got into dad mode. No, you can't go out like that. I felt good I didn't have any kids. Like, I'm looking at these girls and I'm like, thank God I don't got any daughters. Like, I might be yelling. I never thought I'd be yelling at my daughter, but I'm like, no, you can't go out like that. But yeah, and then after the show, the blonde that took the mic came up to me, gave me a hug, and said, hey, I'm so sorry. I basically told her, we're here every Friday, so come back. We got this show every Friday, but it's like people were intimidated by them. They don't know how to deal with like hecklers and stuff.
Well,
when I got on stage, they started booing me and shit, so I booed them loud.
Well, no, and I don't even know if it's so much people, it's the heckling part. I think people don't understand the dynamic of an audience, right? And what I mean by that is I did my first headlining set. And what I mean by headlining set is I've headlined before and done 20 minutes. I've headlined before and done 30 minutes. That's not being a headliner.
It's like an hour, isn't it?
Yeah, a headliner's 45 minutes plus, right? And I did 50. And I could have made it to an hour, but I did 50. The crowd was tired. And the reason why I said there's a difference is because there's a whole mindset to it, right? Like when you're a headliner, you don't show up 10 minutes before the show. You usually don't just walk in. You should go see your venue. You should be there probably an hour before. You should meet your host. You should see what the crowd looks like. You should meet your host, not just of the show, but of the actual venue, right? You should know your staff. Sit down and have your meal if you're getting a free meal. And I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but usually on smaller shows, you get a hotel room. You're staying for a weekend. You can go eat at the hotel diner and do all those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I sat down. I got there. I got there at like 5:30. I sat down. I ate my prime rib. I had a good time. I met a couple people. I talked to them in the lobby. They're like, hey, so what are you doing here? So I'm the comedian tonight. And they're, oh, well, we were thinking about going to the show. I'm glad we met you because we weren't going to go. But after meeting you, we'll definitely come back, right? And then I found out it was somebody's 48th anniversary and all these different things. And I said all this to say that when you are the headliner of the show, your job is to entertain people for almost an hour. An hour. Think about that, an hour. Like on this podcast, we're going to go we're recording for like an hour and 45 minutes, hour and a half. Some of it you'll cut, some of it you'll keep. It'll have highs, it'll have lows. We change subjects. We talked about 47 different things. But an hour of just you with no help. That takes some work, right?
I know. Did you start sweating and stuff? Or you get
I didn't even sweat.
No?
You know why? Because I had done the proper work, and I paused, and I took my time, and then I talked to some parts of the crowd, and I talked to him over here, and then I talked to these guys for a little bit. And do you know what it was? And I figured out is when you're the headliner, crowd work is mandatory now.
Yeah.
Crowd work is mandatory when you do a longer set. That's what they want to interact. They want to feel like they're part of the show. They want to feel like they were involved. and all that. When you're not a headliner, though,
Mm-hmm.
shut the fuck up and do your jokes.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is when you're not a headliner and you're doing the crowd work, people don't respect you.
Yeah.
You haven't earned the right yet to really do crowd work. Now, if you go up and do crowd work because the crowd's crazy, that's different because you're trying to wrangle them in, and if you do it right, they'll respect you.
Mm-hmm.
But when you've got a crowd that's waiting for jokes, you go up there and you're like, so where are you from? The other 100 people in the room are like, you're not talking to me. Boo. You're going to get somewhere? Are you going to tell us? You know what I mean? And if it's not funny, you've wasted the rest of the crowd's time to interact with some people, and you didn't even make it funny. And there's a whole bunch of things I can talk about after that. But I think so many people want to be the next Matt Rife or Nate Jackson or the next king of riffing,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't even know how to tell fucking jokes anymore.
Nah, I tell all comedians they gotta take improv classes. You gotta understand how to do improv and stuff. But yeah, people are hating on Matt Rife. You know, they're hating on him. Like half of my Facebook posts from comedians were about hating on that guy. You know, I'm not hating on him. I haven't even watched his Netflix special. You know, I could
Oh,
care, I could care less. You know.
You know, I look at it in two ways. The first one is there's things I could be doing to be more successful that would follow the same routes, avenues, and ideas as some people who have before. And there's no real reason why I haven't done it except for I'm lazy, and so maybe that's part of it. But if you want to see the economic success, there's nothing wrong with Matt Rife or Che Durana or Nate Jackson or any of these guys that, you know why? Because they're paying their bills.
Yeah.
So I will say one thing. I kind of listened to you guys riff that out, if you will. But I do like it when comedians, at least one during the lineup, especially if I'm later in the lineup, if I'm featuring or if I'm headlining. I don't mind if the host, because that's actually the host's job, right? Or comedians that go up previous to me, because even though I have my set list based on my bullet points that I have in my head and I've been thinking about, there's so many times where I'll watch the show that's going on before I go up, and it's like you have to acknowledge some of that shit in the room. Like, you have to acknowledge, like, so I like it when they do exploratory surgery. Oh, where are you two from? Oh, you're on your first Tinder date. Oh, okay. Oh, you guys have been together. You've been married for 40 years. Okay. So if I know that and I know where those people are, it will help me sometimes deliver my set better. And if I am working the crowd in my set, it's like I've already cheated off the comics paper ahead of me. I kind of know some of the answers already. So I could have, I do this great joke about first Tinder dates or grinder dates or whatever. I could just, segue that in so it sounds so natural. It sounds like the first time I've ever said it, kind of thing. So,
and I don't get me wrong. I think it can be good. But
it shouldn't be solely their act.
Bingo. You guys know Jacob Blazer and Jimmy Menendez and Jackie Pearl and Tommy Lucero, right? They run around together and do a lot. And when you're around comics that you're used to being around and they're doing, you know what they're going to say and what they're going to ask and what kind of personality is, it's great. When you get lucky and, like you said, you headline a feature and you get a good actor in front of you, that's cool. But when you're at 90% of these showcases with the 1 to 2 to 3 year comedians, no.
Right.
No. You know what I'm saying? Like, no.
No, I want energy. I want your tried and true jokes ahead of me.
Yes, I want your best, right? I don't want to guess, hope, and I think that's, I've spent.
You just better make them laugh.
The good thing about my show, every Friday at Kel's, I'm always the last one on stage. So, because people are afraid I'm going to walk people. So I do have the benefit of watching the whole show and seeing how things are going and stuff. And yeah, it's true. Like, you do pick up things, In fact, I picked up one of my jokes last week. I have a new joke, like, I'm unhoused. I don't live in a house. I have an apartment. You know, that's one of my.
Oh, you're unhoused.
I'm unhoused. I don't have a house. I live
That's
in
the
a
new. That's the new current proper
I live in
vernacular
a
for
park.
homeless people is
Unhoused.
unhoused.
I'm not unhoused. But yeah, it's like, yeah,
Yeah, he's unhoused. He lives in a condo with his mom.
I live in a I live in a
So
senior.
she lives with him.
I
She
live in
lives
a
with
senior community. Actually, yeah, I live in a senior community. My mom is retired. I live in a senior community. It's a weird dynamic and stuff. Seniors are crazy. Like, they're fun people and stuff. I can't say my mom is like everybody else. My mom hates weed. She hates weed and stuff. I don't smoke weed anymore. I live in a city, you can't even smoke weed. It's illegal to smoke anything where I live in Walnut Creek. But yeah, it's like a lot of comedians, they just can't, they do their jokes, they do their set list, but they can't, they don't want to know how to handle the rough waters and stuff. And
And
I
I
love hecklers. Hecklers are easy to deal with because you sit around, you watch them, you get ready for them, like, you know, you get ready for them. But it's true, like, it's true. And I mean, the college students, they're cool, but these people were there to dance afterwards. I'm not gonna be hating on them. One comedian was really pissed at him. He's like, I'm from Texas. We do hit women in Texas. I'm like, that's just low. That joke got a lot of laughs on top of it. So it's crazy, but it's like, yeah, my thing is like, hey, they might be hecklers, they might be drunk off their ass, but the next day they're not gonna even remember where they were at, probably. Like, that's the bad thing, but yeah. In fact, the magic show I was at, there was some 7-year-old girl. They brought her up on stage, and she's like, "My parents are engaged." I'm like, "You're 7 years old. Shouldn't your parents be married by now? Maybe it was your stepdad or something like." But that guy is funny. He's a funny magician. And he has a little dog. And in fact, it was his 25th anniversary, so he had a video of all these famous comedians congratulating him, and they all have their little dogs, right? But I realized there's none of them were women. Why isn't there like famous female magicians? Why isn't magic something that women don't break into?
uh,
Do you know of
'cause
any female magicians?
if it's any, I know one. Um, I don't even know if she's a magician. I think she's a ventriloquist. So I hate to say that.
And
This character.
there's no minority magicians too. They're like this guy is Latino, but outside of this guy, they're like all white males. Why can't we break the minority? Why
Well,
can't we
maybe
get?
it's the stigma of quote unquote black magic being bad.
Oh, that's true. But do you really want a female magician like trying to do tricks like, I'm gonna cut this guy in half? Yeah, you're sexist. You're sexist. Don't be cutting any male in half.
As long as her last name isn't Bobbitt.
I
I'm
know.
cool.
Bobby, yeah.
Depends on what they're cutting in half,
I
right?
know. I saw one magician in Vegas. He had a white handkerchief. He put it through his hand and it became red. And then he said, "You know how this joke works?" And he said, "Yeah, I got a little razor. I cut my finger and the blood turns the handkerchief red." And I was like, I ain't want to know that. That's just damn gross. Let's keep blood out of your tricks.
Was it that was actually his trick?
That was his trick. I saw him at the Jimmy Kimmel Comedy Club in Vegas last year.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, he had a white handkerchief. He put it through his hand. They became red. And he's like, "You know how this joke works?" He told us. I have a little razor. I cut my finger. It bleeds on the handkerchief.
Oh
It
jeez.
turns it red. I was like, "No, we don't need to. You got to keep that joke to yourself, you know.
Or that trick, yeah.
That trick to yourself. I don't want to know that. And
I don't like magicians. I don't. I think
don't like
magicians are like clowns. They're
I
weird.
think they're okay. You don't like magic shows?
They're weird. Magicians and clowns are weird fucking people.
Well, clowns are
They're
weird people and stuff.
magicians. You got so here's what you got to think about. And you asked me why there aren't a lot of women and minorities in magic clowns. You know where magic and clowns come from? The circus. Circus are not a good group of
Yeah.
people. It's usually gypsies and people that can into some weird shit. You don't want to be the only woman or the only black guy on a fucking tour with a whole bunch of crazy people. Like, it just doesn't. Dog came out. That doesn't sound like a
The
good
dog
idea.
is smelling somebody outside. You
Yeah,
know,
the dog just heard somebody talking
He's-
outside.
might be Joe Mama. She's out there or something.
No, I think I know who it is. I can hear them singing.
Oh, is it? It's not. What's his name? Luke already.
No, it's not Luke already.
Yeah, maybe it's because like, well, this guy's name Alex Ramon. He performs in Tahoe the winter at Harvey's, but yeah, it might be true that the whole thing about black magic or it's not magic when minorities do it. It's witchcraft or something. You know,
Bingo.
could be a whole thing about. I never really thought about that. But,
Think about that. Long time ago, if you did magic as a black person,
Yeah.
oh,
if a woman magician's like, I'm gonna saw somebody in half, they might end up in jail. You know, you're not gonna saw anybody
she's a
in
witch.
half.
Yeah, she's a witch.
She's a witch. We can't have
We're not
that.
being
man.
racist here. We're talking history.
Yeah,
There's a whole what couple generations, hundreds of years where women were called witches, and you know what I
yeah.
mean, burned at a stake.
Hell yeah. That could be it. I mean, I don't got a problem with witches. This is the Bay Area. You come to the Bay Area a lot. You perform out here once in a while, don't you? You
I
go-
used to come. I dated a girl in the Bay Area for almost a year, and
You
so
go
I
up
was
to
coming.
Humboldt a lot. You perform at, what's the name of that place in Humboldt? Or
Savage Henry. I did
the
the Savage.
Henry, yeah. They
I
never
did
booked me. They've never
Hey,
booked me. What's up with
Don't
that?
get me in trouble. I'm not associated with somebody who didn't get. Don't put that curse on me.
They never booked me. What's up with that?
I don't know. It's a weird little city. Like
You like Humboldt, or what do you think
It's-
about Humboldt?
it's kind of like Washington and California, to be honest.
Yeah. I drove all the way to Seattle one time, but I've been to Seattle 3 times and it's always been a heat wave. I never understood why every time I go there it's really hot, I think in my past life I was in the Seattle fire or something. Maybe maybe I set the fire or something. I'm paying the price.
Seattle hasn't been hot this year. You just didn't come this year. It was cold
Well,
this year.
Maybe I need to come. Maybe I need to come down. It's never hot in Seattle. That's why I'm surprised. In fact, one time I went down there for the weed festival, and it was so hot. I didn't want to be after 3 p.m. I didn't want to be outside. It was hitting
We don't
100.
even do it anymore.
Huh?
You know that Hemp Fest is canceled. We haven't done Hemp Fest. We don't do Hemp Fest anymore.
It's my fault. I should have never gone down there. Everything I touch goes bad, gets canceled and stuff. Hempfest sucked anyway. It was probably the worst weed festival I ever went to, The ones out here were okay until they legalized weed. Then they all suck because you can't have vendors at any of these things that aren't licensed, In fact, the first legal weed I ever bought outside of the medical marijuana was in Vancouver, Washington. My friend lives in Vancouver, and this is when they first legalized it. But they were selling eights for $100. It was crazy high, It was crazy high and stuff. Yeah, my friend lives in Vancouver, Washington, works in Portland. He's like, I guess there's no tax There's no sales tax in Washington, or is that in
That's
Oregon?
Oregon.
Huh?
That's Oregon.
That's in Oregon.
Oregon is not sales tax. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get all that, but he likes it out there and stuff.
I mean, there's you're still gonna pay your taxes. Don't get that wrong. You know what I mean? It's just different. They have like in Washington, we don't have. While we may have 10% sales tax, we don't have income tax.
Oh yeah, income tax. Yeah.
So in our state, we don't pay any taxes on our income. So it all depends on what's more important to you. You get what I mean? Like to us, it's I'd rather you can get your money without paying any taxes on it from the government, except for what you pay the federal government. And then if you go buy something quote unquote legally, then you pay taxes.
But
Other than that,
if
you
you
don't
work
pay.
in Portland, right? Are you paying income tax because you got to pay? Are you paying income from the state you work at, or is it the state you live in?
I don't know. I don't work in Oregon. I work in Washington, but in Oregon State, I think you pay income tax.
So what
You pay.
games are you going to? What games are you working at soon?
I've got the Yukon Huskies versus Gonzaga Bulldogs on Friday, and
Oh
then I've got
yeah.
LA Kings hockey versus Seattle Kraken on Saturday, and I had the Minnesota Wild at the Kraken last night.
How far are you from Gonzaga?
Well, we're not close. I'm closer to Portland than I am Gonzaga.
But are you going to Spokane to work the game, or do you do
No,
that at?
the
Huh?
game's at Climate Pledge.
Oh, so you do it at home, or?
Yep, they know the game is at Seattle at our arena.
Oh, okay.
So Gonzaga hosts usually one or two games each year in Seattle at our arena because it holds like 15,000, and they usually bring in like last year they played the Huskies there or something. A couple years ago it was Illinois, the top 10 team. So they schedule a big preseason game in the Seattle market, and it usually sells out.
Yeah, I
So it's
live like 15 minutes from St. Mary's. You know St. Mary's, they're in the same conference as Gonzaga. Yeah,
yeah, it's not the same. It's not
they
the
got a
same.
bunch of Australian players at St. Mary's. Like,
St. Mary's sucks.
yeah,
Boo.
they do suck, but they're not that bad. I mean, they made the tournament last year.
They make the tournament every year. I'm just mad because as a Gonzaga fan, I've seen them lose to St. Mary's so many times in the what is it? The West Coast Conference? Yeah,
Yeah, the West Coast Conference. Yeah.
The West Coast Conference Championship or whatever. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of them. I mean, I'm a huge fan, but you get what I mean. I know they bring it. They're
But
not that.
you went to Washington for college, or
No, I went to Central Washington for college. I went to Morehouse first though, which is in Atlanta, Georgia.
where's that Central Washington at?
It's in Ellensburg.
Oh, so you
So
went to Morehouse. What did you think about like Dion leaving Jackson State? Did you think the HBCUs were gonna blow up or something? Or
I got an academic scholarship. That's what I thought. It had
damn, that's good.
uh,
So you're
honestly,
actually a good student and stuff.
yeah, I have a master's degree. I'm a pretty good student. You have to be a good student to get a master's, or at least be a fucking nerd, one or the other. But with the HBCUs, prime the whole Dion thing at Colorado and Jackson State and all of that just shows how fickle the support for the black athlete is.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is the minute Colorado, well, everybody in the media wanted Dion to lose. That's the first one. The minute he did lose, everybody was so happy to discredit him, right? And then on top of it, if you were a betting man, he won 4 games. He won more games than Las Vegas said he was supposed to, right?
You're a Colorado fan, aren't you?
No, I'm not a Colorado fan.
I thought I saw that on Facebook that you were a Colorado fan.
Not a fan. I was proud of what Dion was doing. I was embracing the idea of a black coach getting a Power 5 conference job, especially in the Pac-12. And then I was embracing the idea of a black coach bringing his whole roster with him.
I mean, I knew Dion was going to end up losing because, I'm a 49er fan. Dion played for us 1 year and bailed, went to the Cowboys. We've never forgiven him, for that shit. So I knew. But the thing is, Dion is there for his sons, he's not going to be coaching 2, 3 more years. He's going to be gone after next year. And everybody knows it, you know? He's going to be in the NFL doing something with his kids. He's like the biggest freeloader ever and stuff. His
How is
first
that?
son sucked. That's why he never got a head coaching job. His first son was terrible. His first son didn't do shit. I'm not a
We'll
Dion hater, but it's like fuck that. I don't like Colorado. I remember Colorado. I mean, I grew up in those days. I remember Colorado winning a national championship with Eric Bieniemy at quarterback and all that. I knew. I mean, Colorado. I mean, how can you not win in Colorado? How can you not recruit? They must have the best ski team ever, in Colorado. But, I mean, that's what Colorado is. You've been in Colorado?
I've been to Colorado and I don't want to go back. It's cold.
Yeah.
There's nothing about Colorado that sounds interesting. I went there for New Year's Eve one year. Actually, I went there the last time the Huskies were in the college football playoff.
Oh, yeah, when was that? That was
Yeah, that 2016. That was on my flight back. I had a layover in Denver, and I spent New Year's in Denver.
good.
And it was colder than shit. Smoked a little weed downtown. Went down by the stadium. Saw somebody get jumped. There's a shooting down the street. It was all kinds of mayhem. And I only saw Colorado for like a couple hours. But
That airport is weird. The Denver airport, like every time I flew in there one time, and somebody told me the plane starts shaking a lot when you're flying into Denver. And I didn't realize it, but yeah, that airport is like weird. I mean, I was reading about conspiracy theories about the Denver airport. There's like a whole city underground. But yeah, like I knew Dion wasn't gonna do anything. He's gonna do even worse next year. He's gonna do even worse next year. I'm not hating on Dion, but I am hating on Dion. He
yeah,
left us.
you can't say you're not hating on Dion. You were definitely. He is a Hall of Fame coach with 7 toes and 2 sons in the NCAA playing football. There's
Yeah,
nothing.
he lost. Yeah, he's lost a couple of toes, right? He was in a motorcycle accident and stuff.
Yeah,
I give him credit. Just for the fact that's one thing about that amazes me about football coaches. They could be 350 pounds. They're gonna stand up for the whole game. I'm like, why can't these fools sit down? Why can't we get Dion? We gotta get Dion some kind of chair. These Dion 7 toes, but he's gonna stand up for the whole game. I'm like, not me and shit. I would be sitting down. Like I don't give a fuck.
You guys say that like it's his nickname, Seven Toes, like 2 Chains or whatever.
7 toes and stuff.
that's
Yeah.
his new nickname, Dion 7 Toes Sanders.
Neon prime time.
No more Neon Dion, no more prime time. He's just
Yeah.
Dion 7 Toes Sanders.
Hey man, how many toes do you need, really? I mean,
Yeah, and if anybody at home is counting which ones it is, it's the one that had roast beef and the one that stayed home.
I know. I bet you could buy one of his toes on eBay or something.
Oh, jeez.
Knowing Dion, he would probably sell you one of his toes for a couple of millions. I even thought about buying his sunglasses. He has a sunglass line, but that's when they were winning. But yeah, they went over the top. TCU was the lost in the national championship, and they went hog wild when. But I knew it, dude. The Pac-10 is the Pac-10, and next year they're gonna be in the Big 12 and stuff. But it's gonna be a shitty Big 12. There's no Texas. There's no Oklahoma and stuff. But Washington's gonna be in the Big Ten next year, or where are they gonna be at?
Washington's in the Big Ten next year.
That's
They'll
gonna
be
be even worse for Washington. I think that
ow,
this
ow.
might be their final season. They're gonna make the playoffs. So,
Your sports bias is showing. Jesus.
hey man, I'm being honest. I'm being honest, man. Like, I mean, Washington got good, but a couple years ago they were bad. You know, like I'm just being honest. You got Ohio State, you got Michigan. You know, you got Wisconsin. Oregon's gonna
Wisconsin.
be in there too.
Don't
Oh,
even talk. Oh my God, you're delusional.
you know what
So
happened in the
first up,
Pac-12? You know what
the
happened in the
Pac-12
Pac-12?
is the Pac-12 is hands down better than the Big Ten right now in
But
football.
you know what happened in the Pac-12? What broke up the Pac-12? A lot of those teams decided they didn't want to be with Nike anymore. They went to Adidas. They went to Under Armour, and
It
that,
has. Do you know what? Do you know why they left the Pac-12? And I'll give you the real answer. Do you want to know why?
why?
Because the Pac-12 network and TV rights sucked, and they were making no money. The Pac-12 network lost a ton of money. You look at the ACC network, you look at the Big Ten network, you look at the SEC network, you look everywhere else in the country, the TV rights were actually making money. In the Pac-12 and the Pac-12 conference, that whole TV station lost them a shitload of money.
Do you know where the
And
Pac-12 conference, the TV network, is located?
yeah, here.
Huh?
Yeah, up here in Washington.
But they're still gonna be around, you know.
No, the Pac-12's defunct. There's no more Pac-12. That's it.
No, the Pac-12 is gonna make a comeback. But the thing is, you really only need like 4 football conferences. You know, you're gonna have the SEC, maybe the Big Ten, the Big 12. The Big 12 is questionable. The ACC is questionable. But you're not gonna need that many conferences. You know, you're not gonna need all these conferences.
There's no way the idea of a 40, and I think that's the biggest problem is the Super 20 conference. You can't have 20 teams in a conference. That just doesn't make any sense.
But the other thing that bothers me, like, let's say Washington and Washington State, you know, they're not going to be able to play each other because they're not in the same conference. That's just plain stupid. Why can't we let these in-state rivals play anyway, you know? Who cares if they're not in the same conference? Why the hell is college football so stupid that they do stuff like that, you know?
It's money.
But it's like they're why can't we have Oregon State keep playing, you know? Who cares if they're it's like the dumbest thing. I mean, in every other sport they do things like that. Football is like they got schedules 5 years in advance. Like who 5 years in advance? Like who the hell cares, you know?
It's money.
It
It
is
is.
all about money, you know? It's all about
There's no.
money.
Now that I'm in TV and I'm working in sports TV, I'll tell you everything and everything that happens in sports has to do with TV. That's all there's to it.
So how
When you
did
look at
how did you
what
get into the stats? How did you start doing stats for TV for sports? How did you
I'm
get involved? Huh?
I've been doing sports coaching and stats for 15, 20 years. And finally, somebody needed someone to fill in somewhere. And so I got asked to substitute. And then once I did my job once, they were like, oh, you know what you're doing. And I got a referral to work somewhere else. And there's only so many people that do what I do, or even try to do what I do, let alone are good at it. So once I started doing it and getting in front of the right people, I just kept getting more and more work.
Are you a math major? Like what did you study in college?
Uh, in college, I got my master's in athletic administration, my bachelor's in IT, and my AA in web database management. So yeah, I'm kind of a nerd. I'm a math guy. I'm a numbers guy. Definitely always been numbers. Just for some reason, stats isn't just stats. Like we talk about that sometimes. Like I was trying out for this stats job and I didn't get it. The guys were kind of short with me, but it is what it is. But some stats are meaningless. Some stats are good. Sometimes they want you to tell why the guy would say the stat instead of just give it to him, right? Some people don't get things. It's just all in how you put things out there and how they work. So what I mean by that is like you could say a guy's 6 for 9 in the last 2 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good. He hit 666. Another guy would say it's better to say he was 4 for 8 with runners in scoring position in the last 2 weeks. Oh, that's even better, right? Or you could say in his career he's 2 for 6 against this guy with runners in scoring position. Well, what's the more telling stat? Well, probably the last one, because the guy who's pitching is the guy who's facing. Who gives a shit about the 8 for whatever, because he's not facing that guy, and who cares about whatever? The guy, when he's faced this guy, he's hitting 333.
That's true. You know, I like sports. I follow sports, but I can't lie. Like most people, I probably think stats are just hella boring. You know, like I can't even. I mean, it's impressive you do it because like some of the stats, I'm like, I don't even look at stats. You know, are you winning? Are you losing? Like, what's up with that? You know, like a lot of people. Some people really get into the stats. Baseball stats are just the on base percentage, you know, all that other stuff. Yeah. People are really into it, like the whole Moneyball thing. The Moneyball thing is interesting, you know, because the guy wrote a book about Moneyball. But you know who won the World Series that year with the Moneyball team?
Yeah, it was Boston.
It was the Angels. The A's won 20 games in a row, and they bring back that team, but you know they don't mention it. It was us. We won the damn World Series that year, 2002. Forget Moneyball. Moneyball doesn't. You know the Angels went 19-1, the same stretch that the A's won 20 in a row. In the whole movie, they don't even tell you. Forget the stats. Who won the damn thing? It was us.
You seem a little biased, Chris. Huh? If you ever ask me a trivia question, I'm assuming the answer is always the Angels from now on.
Hey man, you know how I became an Angels fan? I followed Reggie Jackson from the Yankees. I'm old as fuck. I followed Reggie to the Angels, and I kind of just stay there. But I really wanted the Angels to move out of Anaheim. I wanted them to move to Vegas because, of course, you're not going to sell out games. You got Disneyland right next door. Disneyland has got like 2 million people a day. I mean, who the fuck are you? Who's going to come to your fucking game? You got Disneyland right next door. Have you been to Disneyland? You been to Disneyland?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, I have. One time.
I mean, how the hell are you going to compete with Disneyland? It's a fucking joke.
If you don't like kids, Disneyland sucks.
There's no alcohol in Disneyland. I went like last year, and I think I was like 15 years before. The rides haven't changed in 15 years. They still suck, you know. Disneyland just plain sucks, you know. But how are you gonna compete with Disneyland? People are saving up money their whole life to take their damn kids to Disneyland all over the world. They don't give a fuck about the Angels, you know. They gotta move that team. I hate the fucking name change. When I became an Angels fan, they were the California Angels. Then they were the Anaheim Angels. Now that they're LA, fuck it. Fuck all that shit. Fuck all that bullshit, man. But yeah, I remember it. You want some stats? Who holds the record for the most wins in a season?
Seattle Mariners.
And what happened to the Seattle that year?
Oh, you son of a bitch. Don't go there.
That's what I'm talking about. Stats, motherfucker. Stats.
Stats mean a lot, motherfucker.
They do mean a lot. You know, they do mean a lot. But do you ever is there one sport that you're like, you hate doing stats for. Hockey stats. I like hockey, but hockey's probably one of the funnest sports to see in person. But hockey stats got to be crazy hard.
No and yes. So I was doing hockey stats last night, right? And I remember on the first goal that the Wild scored 97 past the 12 and scored real quickly, and I told him the assist was by 97, goal was by 12. And he's like, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah, I was watching it, buddy. Like I was literally watching the play, and I saw it happen. I saw the breakaway, and 12 passes to 97 who passed it back. And so you can't get an assist on your old goal, so there's no 2 assists. Now, hockey stats suck. Do you know why?
Why?
They're constantly changing.
Oh yeah.
So, like, and I'll give you an example. I had 11 shots on goal at the beginning, at the end of the first period when it was first done. By the time they printed the stat sheet, they said it was 10 shots. And then by the time we started the second intermission, it was officially 9 shots on goal. Because they don't count all shots now. They only count shots on goal. So if they don't get all the way to the goaltender and are within the two bars on the goal, they're not considered a shot on goal. Now, the reason why they did that is because everybody takes 1,000,000 shots a game, and so they wanted to increase their shot percentage so that way they look better, so that way they get paid better on it. They also added a second assist to goals now, so that way guys can get more stats and more points. So guess what? They can get more money.
Yeah.
Right? So all these things make it to where the game's kind of convoluted, right? Like you start off a play and they'll say there was no assist, and then they'll say there was 1 assist, and then they'll say there was 2 assists. Sometimes they'll start a play and say a guy got an assist, and then they'll say he didn't get one, right? And so for me in hockey, that's the hard part, is wading through the bullshit and giving them the official answer, especially to the guy who's the broadcaster, on what's the official answer on who gets an assist or not, and then working with the TV truck to let them know what the penalties are, give them an idea what penalties are, and then really paying attention. Like hockey is fast and slow as fuck at the same time.
You can't even take a nap during a hockey game, man. You got to be watching the whole thing and stuff. Yeah.
Right? But then you get a 20-minute intermission.
Yeah.
And then you're back on it again for 45, 50 minutes. And then you get a 20-minute break, right? So it's different. The hardest one, I think, to do, the hardest stats to do live is football. A lot of people would say why? Because every play, there's 2 types of stats. There's defensive stats and there's offensive stats.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then depending on how far your stats are going, when you're looking at like college and how many plays people played and logging their amount of plays or logging who's on the field when or formations, like there's a shitload of shit that goes into stats when it comes to fucking football, right? And if you're really looking to like break down shit and figure out what they're doing and how they're doing it, there's a ton of shit that goes into football.
Yeah, like they got some people get like half a sack. How you got half a sack? You either sacked the guy who didn't. How you gonna? Is it like tag team sacking somebody? You each get half a sack.
People take a guy down. That's a half a sack. That's how. It's pretty simple. You got it. You understood it. Don't play it down.
But it makes no sense. You either sack the guy or you don't.
Guys tackle a guy at the same time.
Yeah, you got tackles. Yeah, the flags are the worst. I think the defensive, the flags for like the defensive, like pass interference, they gotta get rid of that. Let these people fight it out. You know, I'm tired of everything being decided. Now you got people just throwing the ball up, hoping they get a flag. It's a joke. You know, it's football. Damn it. You know, let these people fight for the ball and stuff.
I used to referee football and basketball a lot, and I don't do it anymore. And the reason is you can never be. I look at it like this, and this is where I'll leave it because I hate people who bitch about refs. It's a part of the game.
Yeah.
Just
like last night. Last night with KC, the Chiefs, you know.
Hey, hold on. That guy fucked up.
Yeah.
That's not the ref's fault.
No. But Mahomes went crazy. He
But
went like,
that's my whole point, and this is what I want to say is if the players never made a mistake and the coaches never made a mistake, then the refs would never be a problem.
no.
And so you can't get mad because a ref makes a mistake when you've already made millions yourselves.
Yeah.
And even if you want to say, hey, this ref's cheating or that ref's cheating, well, take his ability to cheat out the way. Unless he's literally cheating where he's throwing flags and nobody's doing anything. You get what I'm saying? There's things you're going to do to avoid a ref. And that's where it comes down to the coaches. It comes down to the players. That's why I have no respect for what DK Metcalf does on the football field or Jamal Adams when you guys get flags. I played 12 years of semi-pro football. I played 4 years of high school. I've played basketball in many different facets, right? And I compare on personal flags like 15-yard unsportsmanlikes to technicals, right? And in all my years of playing basketball, and all my years coaching, and all my years playing football, do you know how many flags I've got for unsportsmanlike conduct and technical fouls?
Let me guess. 0.
I'll say more than that. Probably 5.
5.
Because if you think, I mean, I've got a couple technicals in basketball before, right?
You didn't
Right.
choke
And
anybody out like Draymond Green, did you?
No. But I mean, I've gotten mad before, and I think I've got 1 or 2 as a coach before, right? But then I've been able to sit down or calm, and some of them haven't even been warranted. Some of them have been me being a good coach and being able to tell a ref they're not doing their job properly and calling them on it, and then the ref being mad about it. So me not cussing them out, me not saying they're an idiot, me saying, hey, you know, the rule is X, Y, and Z, and if you're not going to call the rule, why do you even have your whistle? And then be like, all right, coach, that's enough. Well, I'm not really actually doing anything wrong per se, but I did challenge them in a way they didn't like it. And so their only response is to take control, right? If half these coaches and players could play like that, refs wouldn't affect the game. If half these coaches could notice that a guy is throwing a lot of pass interferences on this side of the ball, right? So instead of us playing man, we're going to play zone over here, so we're not bumping the guy. That would take away some of your calls, right? If you know that you need to check in before line of scrimmage and you got to look at the other side, maybe you should do that instead of just looking at the ball and lining up offsides like the dude did in Kansas City. It was great to read today that head coach Andy Reid admits that Kadarius Toney didn't check with the refs before that critical penalty.
But to be fair, I mean, you watch some football games, one team gets like 10 more penalties than the other. I mean, don't you think it could be rigged or something?
I don't, and I'm going to be mean to you. That's all bullshit, dude.
No, there have been refs that have been convicted of like rigging games, though.
You're totally right. There have been refs that cheated, right? But that being everybody's base argument for why a game gets called a certain way is garbage. Like, I can literally watch a game and be like, yeah, that's a penalty. I could watch the Seahawks game and be like, no, we're not getting cheated. I can tell you
the Seahawks suck. That's why you can tell that, you know.
But the point is if you're not into these games and weighted into these games emotionally, and you're watching it, yeah, that's a flag. Holding's almost on every play. It just decides if they want to throw it or not.
Yeah.
You miss a hold if you're not looking, right? Just because you see a hold on the camera angle that the camera's at, you don't know where the eyes are of the ref who's watching it. He didn't see that face mask. Well, he's behind the quarterback. He can't see that his face mask got grabbed.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of things that go into these things, and I think we take it so personally and emotionally that, like, that's exactly why I don't ref, because you can't get it right. If one side's happy, the other side's mad. So somebody's getting cheated.
You played 12 years semi-pro football? What position did you play?
I started my first couple years. I played tight end and receiver. Then I played some quarterback for some years, and switched to O-line and D-line for a while, and then I finished my career playing quarterback, linebacker, and D-line.
But you played for 12 years? How you
Yep.
played 12 years semi-pro? Was it for fun or did you think you had a shot at the NFL or?
Man, it's just playing football. Like semi-pro football is kind of like until recently there wasn't any real semi-pro football. And what I mean by that is semi-pro football when I was growing up is like and playing was like adult softball
Yeah.
because we didn't have the XFL. The only thing you had other than the NFL was the CFL, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now there's the XFL, there's the other league, the National Football. There's another American football.
USFL. The USFL, yeah.
So now you've got like 20 teams plus the CFL to play for, right?
Yeah.
Plus indoor football now, right? Because indoors in.
Yeah, indoor football, yeah.
Now there's actually real money to be made playing, right?
Mhm.
I've played against guys who played in the NFL playing in my semi-pro career. There were guys that were Manasi Hapoi, who was a Mike Bush, who was a Cougar. Manasi Hapoi was a Husky. There's tons of guys we played against. What was the one guy that played? Mike James played for the 49ers. There was a guy for the 49ers that I was giving the blues to that was playing for the Portland Raiders, right? Because when I played from 2008 to like 2019, there was no real semi-pro, right? There was no XFL, USFL. You're either playing Canada or you were playing pros. And so it was a chance for guys to get out and get on the field. There'd be 2 or 3 teams in each state that have a ton of ringers and a ton of old college guys and a ton of guys that were hoping to get a call and hoping to, whatever. And you'd always play against 3 or 4 guys in your league that were, had camp signings or camp cuts and shit like that. So it was a chance to also get out there and hit a motherfucker. I'm 6 foot 300 pounds. There's not many times I get to hit somebody without getting in trouble.
That's true. Where else can you hit somebody? You could be MMA or,
Yeah.
You can't be hitting people on basketball court unless you're Draymond Green, of course. I mean, he's allowed to hit people, That was crazy when he choked out that one guy. I was like, how the hell you just straight up choke somebody? Like,
Jordan Poole.
how they not kick you out for that kind of stuff?
Because that's the I've been through some drama and comedy, and I think we've all been through drama and comedy and drama and right? And I think that's that's what's called the politics of sports.
Yeah.
That's what's called the politics of the comedy scene, right? Some people can do things that are wrong and not get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Other people can do things that are right and get in trouble.
Yeah.
It just depends on the popularity and the politics around it. And I think in Draymond's case and in Draymond Green's case, nobody likes Jordan Poole. He's turned out to be a punk, right? He's kind of a jerk in Washington right now. Mm-hmm. He pouts. He got caught not paying attention. So I don't think anybody feels bad about the person who he is. And everybody loved Draymond Green, and he won 3 championships in Golden State. So are you going to be mad at a guy who won you 3 championships for a guy who's just a punk?
Yeah. Yeah, I tell people that in comedy, like, people think that I'm a dirty comedian, but I think that some people, they're considered dirty just because they don't look clean, You could be, like, clean. You could be dirty and look like a nice, clean person. And they're like, no, he's a clean comedian. I think that whole dirty comedian thing is mostly about looks, It's not about what you say. I don't swear on stage. People still think I'm dirty,
I think it all depends on. Like some people say I'm a racist. My material's racist, and I don't make fun of anybody.
Well, yeah,
right? I make.
Yeah, people, people are like crazy like that. They might think you're Samoan. They're like, why you get to say stuff like that? You don't look Samoan.
Well, I'm not Samoan, right?
Well, that's what
And
I'm
that's the funny
saying.
part is I think a lot of people, it's a lot of people ask like, why do you wear a suit and this, that, and the other? Because I avoid a lot of drama, misconceptions, and hate. Now I also get a whole lot of hate for wearing a suit and all that also, right?
Hmm.
But I avoid a lot of the negative issues that come with, being a black guy because I'm in a suit.
Yeah. I mean, I was born
Like
in
all
I was born in
when
Chile,
I
South America. You know, my first language was Spanish, but I'm not really considered Latino, you know. People don't think I'm Latino. I'm not a Latino comedian. Some people think I'm white, you know. And I went back to Chile for 3 weeks and I realized, hey, I could be white and Latino at the same time. I only have to choose. My ancestors just came from Europe too, you know. They just happened to get off a fucking ship in Chile, right? They didn't want to go all the way to America, but the whole Latino comedy scene is like, I can't break into that world. I don't look Mexican. I don't gotta, they're like, nah, you can't fit in that world.
you can't. I agree. I agree with them. You
But
do not look.
but yeah, but my first language was Spanish. I'm third generation Chileno. Like, why can't I be Latino?
But here's why, and I'll explain it to you in this one. So I went to an open mic, right, and I'm sitting there and I'm not performing, and I decided to watch all the new comedians because I think as a local producer you should do that every once in a while, right?
Hmm.
And I'm sitting there, and this Indian looking guy goes up and says he's black, and I'm just like, the fuck he is, right? And my buddy who's Mexican's like, no, wait for it, you'll figure it out, right? And I was like, I don't, okay, all right, right. And so then he keeps going with his jokes. He's like, yeah, I'm African and Indian. And I said, that's not fucking black, man, right? Now, mind you, I'm not saying this while I was on stage, but this is where I'm going, right? This is what I'm thinking. And I'm not mad, but I am mad, right?
Hmm.
Because I'm black. And not only that am I mad about that, but I spent enough time, like you said, talking shit about my own stuff, right?
Hmm.
To where like you said, I can't say I'm Samoan. People give me a hard time about saying black stuff because they think I'm Samoan and I'm not Samoan, and people get mad at me because I don't speak Spanish, but I'm not Mexican, and all these different things, right?
Yeah.
So I get off the dude gets off the stage and say, "Hey man, can I talk to you for a little bit?" He's like, "Sure." And he's like, "What's going on?" I was like, "Hey man, you gotta stop saying you're black. You're not fucking black, dude. You're fucking African. Two different fucking things." And dude kind of gets mad at me and is like, well, what do you mean? I could say whatever I want. My dad's African. I was like, exactly. Your dad's African. He's not fucking black. It's not the same fucking thing. And he's looking at me like I'm an asshole, and I'm looking at him like he's an idiot, right? And we're both looking at each other like, right? But then he finally got it.
Yeah,
He
you
was
could
like,
be African American. You're not black though. If he said he was African
let me
American,
let me finish, and then you'll understand why. Because he said he gets off stage and people want to make jokes about fried chicken and shit like that, and he doesn't like it, and he doesn't identify with it. And I said, exactly, because you're not black, you're
yeah.
fucking African. And a light bulb went off for it, right? Now, I'm not saying you're not Mexican and you're not Hispanic and you're not Latino, but that's not the way you live everyday life, right? And so if you're trying to break into a comedy scene where that's not how you live everyday life, it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel I can understand them, and that's where I looked at this dude and felt the same way. And that's also why I probably don't fit into an all black comedy scene or have comedy issues because I'm not all black,
Yeah.
right? And so that's the I don't know, like that's the paradigm. That's why we all need to be able to make our own spaces and produce our own shows and be able to do more than just complain. There's so many people, and I don't mean you. This isn't. I don't want to
I know
preface
I'm
that.
not taking it personal. I know.
This isn't guided at you, but I see so many people who are like, I can't do this or I can't do that or why can't I be a part of this person's space? And I'm like, because that's their space.
Hmm.
Like I used to get mad and jealous about people doing their LGBTQ shows and their disabled shows, and that sucks. And wish I could get in front of that kind of crowd. Well, that crowd wouldn't want to see me anyway.
Well,
You get what I mean?
you
Like if
know,
they all showed up for
I'm disabled. I'm on SSI, right? And I know people who have a disability tour, right? But
Mhm.
I never wanted to be a disabled comedian. I'm just a comedian, you know. I'm all right with them having a disability tour. But then they got one guy who had a drug problem. Now he's disabled. Like, having a drug problem does not make you disabled. But yeah, I get that, you know. Like, I'm okay with all those groups. But at the end, I don't want to be a disabled comedian. I'm a comedian, you know.
I hear you. I mean, it's a hard role to play. You know, you don't want to get pigeonholed, but you want the nice shows. You don't, I'm kind of pigeonholed myself. I think because I've done so much of this non-white comedy that a lot of these comedy producers and comedy clubs are mad and at me or feel some sort of way because I say I specialize in non-white comedy, and if you want to go see white comedy, go to my local clubs, right? And they feel some sort of way, but if it's true, why can you feel? What are you upset about,
Mhm.
right? And I think that's the problem. Is there's got to be room for both.
Mhm.
Yes, I am a black comedian. Yes, I am a mixed comedian. Yes, I am just a comedian.
It's true, like yeah, it's all crazy, you know, and at the end, these labels are just there to sell more tickets, you know. I got
Bingo.
I got one friend, you know Sammy Obeid, you know,
Who?
Sammy Obeid, he's a comedian, you know, he's like Palestinian. Another friend of mine, his name is Dawood. He was booked in a club in Dallas, and he's Palestinian, and he made a video making fun of some Israeli stuff, and they pulled his show, you know. They pulled his show. Somebody he got complaints over that, but it's like, yeah, you know, you just never know. 5 years ago, being Palestinian was cool, you know. Now you're gonna run into problems with that kind of stuff, and everything moves. So yeah, like things are, you know, it's crazy how everything works.
And I think that's for me, like, so I had the talk yesterday. So, and I'll bring up two things. I got to say this. Last year, I had the guy from the Oakland A's got caught on live broadcast saying the N word.
Oh yeah.
Remember that? He said they went to the Negro Museum, and that is not the word he used, right? And then he got fired immediately. Like there's no
Yeah.
there's no excuse for that. You just don't randomly drop the N word to describe Negroes in the Negro Museum and be like, oh, it was by accident. It was right. Well, that wasn't even the worst part for me. The worst part was I had somebody want to ask me about it at the job. How do you feel about that announcer over at the Oakland A's? And all I could look at him and want to say was like, "What are you asking me, white guy? You think it's okay to say nigger on TV?
Yeah.
Is that what you're literally asking me? Because I'm saying it this time instead of the N word because that's how angry I fucking got. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, why are you bringing this up to me?
Yeah.
What do you think we need to talk about? What do
Yeah.
you think my stance is on this?
That guy got lucky. I mean, he didn't have to watch the A's anymore though.
Now, let me take this one step further. I worked the All-Star Week's festivities up here, right? And I
Uh-huh.
did the game with the Ken Griffey Swingman Classic. And the whole broadcast was with black people. Do you know how many times that's happened on any other broadcast that I've seen in sports?
0.
Do you know I cried while that happened because it felt like history?
Yeah.
Do you know the other black guys that were on our TV crew that day came up to sit in our media room because they wanted to be around that?
Mm-hmm.
Now, my point in those two things is baseball is only fucking 60 years from integrating,
Mm-hmm.
right? Our country is
Did
only.
you know that? Did you know they had Latino players in the major leagues? Is only the ones that could pass as white.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Trust me, I know about all that shit,
Yeah.
Chris. But my point in saying that is baseball is one of the last games to really change any of that.
Yeah.
You look at the way, and it's not from a cultural, it's from blacks.
Mm-hmm.
Blacks really haven't been accepted in baseball. They're accepted in football. I mean, you can't help it. You can't help it in the NBA. Tiger Woods kicked down the door in golf. Even in NASCAR, they're trying to kick it down. Shit. Lewis Hamilton was a 7-time Formula One champion in a fucking row. A black guy from the UK, right?
Yeah.
But baseball, the disdain they have for Barry Bonds, but they don't have for Mark McGwire.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Sammy Sosa's own self-hate to turn into a white man now. Right? Like, have you seen a picture of Sammy Sosa?
Yeah.
Right? Like, the disdain they don't have for Roger Clemens, Jose Canseco, but you're mad at Barry Bonds, who hit better numbers than most Hall of Famers before he did steroids. And he only did steroids because he watched you guys heroically treat Mark McGwire, Jose Canseco, and Sammy Sosa like idols.
You know, my psychiatrist, he had a picture of Barry Bonds. He had a picture with him with Barry Bonds. I assumed he was a Giants fan. It turns out he was actually a Dodger fan, you know? I just assumed this guy was a Giants fan. But the thing about steroids, I always wondered, like, if you give me steroids, will I even hit a home run? I mean, how different is steroids? Like, you gotta be in the major leagues. You give me steroids, I'm not gonna do jack shit anyway, you know? I'm not hitting anything, you know? I mean, how much impact does steroids really have, you know?
Bingo. And so for me, that's where, the times are changing. Even in comedy, even in sports. I talked once about, they were like, I talked to somebody once about how mental health, the idea of mental health and the leniency on people being ADHD and ODD and all these things are the reasons why we have Kyrie Irvings in the NBA.
Oh, yeah.
Right? When I was a kid, I used to get bullied and messed with because I was weird. And I played AAU, and we went to nationals. And Luke Renauer had a long NBA career. Teo Johnson went to the NFL. Right? Curtis Allen played for the Huskies. Alvin Snow went to Eastern Washington. I could go up and down the roster of the guys I played with. Right?
Mm-hmm.
There's the level of politics. We talked about politics. How does this matter? Right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, politics really don't affect youth sports. And here's what I mean. There's so many fucking teams that politics don't stop your kid from getting a chance to get on the football field. Mm-hmm. Then they may stop them from playing for the best team. It may stop them from playing on the championship team. But if you want your kid to play sports these days, they will fucking play. If not, just start your own team and do it. That is the whole motto now, right? So every kid is getting exposure. Every kid is playing sports. Every kid is getting recruited or gets a chance to play. So I think a lot of those, and it's not that they shouldn't get a chance to play, but I think a lot of the mentally weak kids that were skillful and talented are getting through instead of just the mentally tough ones who may not be as skillfully talented because bullying is cut down. Picking on people is cut down. Hazing has been cut down. So a lot of these people with mental health issues or social issues are able to get there.
Yeah, there's like a Pop Warner team from the Bay Area from Menlo Atherton who is going to the national championships, right? Menlo Atherton is where Steve Curry lives, right? It's like the richest city maybe in the whole Bay Area. These people are asking for money because none of the players come from Menlo Atherton. I'm like, how you guys need money? Menlo Atherton is like the richest city.
Yeah, it's the highest real estate next to Malibu.
Yeah.
And Beverly Hills.
I mean, why are you asking for money? But like,
because all the kids in that league aren't from there.
Yeah. Yeah, like I'm like, and then
no, there's also a reason rich people are rich. They keep their money.
Yeah, they keep their money and stuff, and they're messing with Curry like that. somebody broke into their house, you know, where Steph Curry used to live near me. He lived near Orinda or Walnut Creek when a lot of the pro athletes used to live near me when they were in Oakland. When they moved to San Francisco, they went to the other side, but yeah, youth sports are crazy. I played AYSO for years. It's like it's different, like, you know, but the parents are still gonna be crazy though. But hey, one last thing, I saw that you saw Wonka already. It's How is the movie Wonka?
So it's the movie itself for the first half hour, 45 minutes is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a musical. They've done some artistic things with it. The story finally picks up about 45 minutes or an hour in. It got me emotional at the end because he talks about his mom and another character finds their mom. Outside of that, I mean, it was nostalgic. It was okay. It just wasn't the no, you didn't get. It wasn't Willy Wonka.
I got a chocolate factory story. Like when I was a teenager, I went back to Chile, and one of my cousins, his grandfather, owns like a chocolate company, right? They took me to the chocolate factory. I ate so many chocolates. I was like puking for like 3 days. I had diarrhea. And even when I went last time, people asked me about that. Like, they asked me about that story, you know? And it turns out it's not that I ate too many chocolates. I'm just lactose intolerant. I didn't even
He's
know.
basically a Poopa Loompa.
I know. I was lactose intolerant. It's not that I went. People
Poopy-dee-doo.
think I went shit crazy for I need that many chocolates. I'm not even supposed to eat chocolates. That was the problem and stuff.
Yeah, Poopa, Poopa.
We got a couple of minutes.
poopity-doo.
You got some podcasts? You got any shows you want to plug, or where can
Yeah,
we find you?
I got a couple of different things for you. First one, real simple. We got Autastic Artists is every first Sunday on Suitman Productions. Dating with Disabilities is every third Sunday on suitmanproductions.com or Suitman Productions Facebook page. They're also on our YouTube. And then April 20th, 2024, we are doing Deaf Comedy Jam in Seattle at the Rainier Art Center. We're working on filling up acts for that, finding in two producers.
420? Is that a 420 show or?
It's not exactly 420, but yes, it's on the date 420.
Are you gonna book me for that show or? Hey, they got Latinos on Def Comedy Jam.
It's not that Deaf Comedy Jam. It's DEAF. We translate comedy for deaf.
Oh, okay, yeah. I don't know sign language. Yeah, don't book me for that. That's a
So
different.
it'll be a little bit different. It's something. It's something.
What's the deaf comedy? How do you say weed in sign language?
I don't know. I don't
Is it
know.
like,
I just say weed and say
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Wait, show him, Chris. Show how you do it. That's how he does it. Yeah.
that's weed and sign language. Yeah, there you go. Right.
I
So
used
yeah,
to buy
those.
weed from a deaf guy. It's like, and this is if you want a dime bag, it was like,
Wait, hold on. There you go.
or just like you got to do hand signals. I felt bad for him because I thought he got arrested, and being deaf in prison, that's got to be wrong, you know. That's got to be the word. What else? What other plugs you got?
No, that's all I got for now. I'm always doing shows online. Last but not least, on the 23rd, I'm doing an online show called Give, Love, Laugh. We're trying to generate donations for Mary's Place. It's a homeless shelter for women with children.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a shelter I grew up in, so it's kind of close to my heart. So
Oh, that's
other than
good.
that, we don't have much. That's about it.
Oh yeah, you coming down here? Or you got any shows? You're going back to Humble anytime soon? Or?
I'm trying to come back down. I think I'm coming back to California in summer. I'm planning a summer trip for like June or July. Until then, I'll still be in the Pacific Northwest. Just
What about
keeping
the Seattle comedy competition? Have you done it? Or?
I was supposed to be in it, so last year I tried out. I got told I was an alternate, and all I had to do was try out this year, and I would have made it. And then I forgot to try out again. I don't know. I don't like competitions.
Yeah,
I
neither
like
do I. I
I know.
bomb. I bomb in competitions. Well, every Friday you can catch me at Kel's at North Beach in San Francisco, and every Monday I'm here, except on Christmas and New Year's Day. Jesus decided his birthday is gonna be on a Monday this year, which kind of fucks up my schedule. How dare Jesus celebrate his birthday on Monday? You know what I'm saying?
But it did remind you it was his birthday because I said, "Hey, Christmas is on Monday," and you said, "Jesus Christ!"
Jesus, yeah,
So,
Jesus Christ.
Well, thank you for having me, guys. I can't wait to be on again. Thanks.
We'll have you back when the manor starts sucking in April or something.
and next time we'll do it straight from your couch. This time we'll do it straight from the couch.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
I fell asleep. That's my bad. Sorry, fellas.
I know. You gotta have
Later,
me on the
dude.
disability dating show.
Oh, and tell us about one more plug. Show on the 23rd, correct?
Yep. Give Love Laugh. December 23rd, 6 p.m. Suitman Productions on Facebook. It's a show driving donations for Mary's Place, which is a homeless shelter for women with children.
All right, and Chris, do your thing.
I'm at Kel's every Friday in North Beach, San Francisco. I'm always the last comedian on. They announce me as like, oh, this next guy's just visiting. But I'm always here every Friday. My show every Monday from 1 to 3 here at Edge Studios here in District 12. You know what District 12 is? Or that's a Hunger Games joke.
That's what I thought.
Hunger Games joke. Thank you for being on, Dante. I hope the Seahawks don't make the playoffs.
Fuck the 49ers.
Fuck
Peace.
the Seahawks.
And we are out of here.